So now that we understand the basics of Pug, it's time to do some refactoring and to fit our code better into the MVC architecture. And so that after that, we can finally start building the website itself. And just like we did with our resources, I'm also going to create a router and a controller for the views. So basically a file where I can put all the routes that we need in order to build our dynamic website. So let's call these the view routes. Okay. And let's start by requiring express. Okay, and so this is going to work the exact same way as the other routers. So creating a router express.router, and then by the end we export it. And so now let's actually get these routes here and copy them into the routes file. Now here it's of course no longer app, but router. So let's replace that. All right, and so that's actually okay. So in the other routes, we used to use the .route, where we then specified the route itself, and then after that we used like get, post, patch, or delete, so all these HTTP methods. But in this case, that's not going to be necessary, because all we're ever going to do is to use get. And so it's good like this. Next up, we actually need to mount this router to our application. So here in the app, and so just like we did before, we start by requiring it. So view router, and now let's actually mount it here right as the first one. So view router, but the difference of this one is that this is actually mounted right on the root URL. Okay, so whenever a URL looks like this, it will go straight into the view router. And I'm not sure if that's going to work. Maybe we will have to put it here at the end, but let's see once we test that. Okay, now just as a final step, let's, just like before, actually export these functions here into a controller. And so, just like before, let's create a views controller. All right. And so let's copy this stuff. So this one here is going to be called the get overview. So exports.get overview equals this function. Okay, for now at least. So of course, all of this here will going to be replaced with the real controller, which is actually going to get the data for the overview and then render that data. Okay, but for now, we just have this very simple controller function just to see if everything works. All right, so let's now actually go ahead and import that controller here. So controllers, and then views controller. Okay, and so here we will have views controller dot get overview. All right, and now here the same exports dot get tour. Okay. And this one here was actually just a test, so let's get rid of it. And now finally, we actually do not want a route called overview, but instead we want to show the overview right when we open the page. Okay, so just like we have it here. So this is the root page, and whenever that is requested, it will serve this overview page. Okay, And so that's exactly what we want in our application. All right. So let's test that out. And so this one here should now be the overview page. And indeed, it is. Okay. And now here, let's reload this one as well, just to see if everything still works. And it does. Great. And of course, we could still access our API as well. So let's say API v1/tours, and that should then give us all of our tours that we return for this endpoint. Okay. Fantastic. So with this, we're actually ready to really start building this overview page in the next lecture. So I can't wait to see you there.